We are live. It is the Rich Lieberman media. But why am I talking like this? It's almost like I'm trying to be very, very dramatic. In any event, a few things I want to, schmooze about. People have been asking me, I say people, texting and, emails. Like I've been walking around, people are talking about KMBR. No, they're not. But it is still SF radio, right? It's still, even though they're dead, they've been in the ground now. The dirt has been put on top of the coffin. But I'm a sucker. I'm actually a guilty pleasure kind of a guy too. So I like to listen or observe when things are unintentionally hilarious or embarrassing in this case. So their entire operation now, I guess, is at the studio, which is an integral part of radio, folks, even terrestrial radio. They are now at Levi's Stadium, where I'm sure it's nice and cozy, and they can look on an empty field and walk around and say, "We're still part of the radio business." So KNBR is in deep doo-doo, has always been. Now it's kind of official. And now we have people like I call them the breadcrumbs minus the bread, the little crumbs. And the hangers on. We've got people like Greg Papa, who's hanging on. I guess Greg needs the money to pay for his various, shall we say, stand ins. Use your imagination. Papa is now working with the other nepotism figure, Greg Silver, who can't shut his mouth. So I guess he figured, you know what, they're paying me about 5 Snickers an hour. I might as well just keep talking, even though if I'm not clever, I'm not original, I'm just going to talk and talk. He sounds like one of those kids that you go around in like high school. They're like the nerds, but they know shit. Or in this instance, he doesn't know sports, but he talks, to, I guess, make up for the fact that he replaced another Nimrod who was slightly more expensive than he is. So Greg Papa is teaming up with Greg Silver, the nepotism. Silver's father is Mike Silver, who is buddy with all the little lemmings at KMBR. So they worked out a twofer deal. They got Mike Silver's son working with Papa, and I'll get to that show. I gave it a couple of days and I couldn't take it anymore. And then you have Kobe Copes hanging out in Hawaii, which is always a good look, by the way, or in this case, a listen, when the entire station has been put in the ground, but it's good to fly to Hawaii and take part in some bullshit contest. Also, that I'll get to in a second, because you're going to get the insight on that you won't get anywhere else, especially the Chronicle. So we have Copes, like working with the other nepotism bullshit, Greg Papa's own son. I guess it would have been too embarrassing, even by those standards, to put Papa with son Derek Papa. So we'll get that debut. I can hardly wait. It'll be like the big second coming next week. But Greg Silver can't shut up. And then you have goofy, embarrassing Greg Papa, who acts as if he's been working with this Nimrod for years now, and he can't shut up. So you have two people that have absolutely no creativity, who are boring and are there strictly because of the dollars, especially Greg Silver. The show is an abysmal failure. Nobody's listening. And it is so bad at KNBR, the dead radio station, that, get this, a month and a half ago, they had this Hawaii contest, right? Where they gave away a couple of tickets to go to Hawaii, airline tickets, and they put you up at a nice hotel. So that was 6 weeks ago. And There are no listeners. There's about two tops. This promotion that they did in Hawaii, and they kept it on, and it just sounds ludicrous. At best, as a reader said, it's a bad look. Well, of course it's bad. They have no shame. They have no fucking credentials. They don't give a damn about protocol. It's not in their vocabulary. So they went on with this contest in Hawaii. And you know why they went on with it? Because damn the listeners. They got two people that are listeners. They took ad people, executives to this getaway to Hawaii. And they're talking about Hawaii, and that's great. They're having a ball. That's wonderful. Copy copes. And they may, when they come back, they may not have a job. So, I mean, whatever. You could do whatever you want to do. The people that are on this broadcast are all, and Trip, are all ad people that work in the industry, people that may have at one time had a relationship with KNBR, advertisers at the time who spent something, and now that's in the toilet. But it's a bad look. It's a bad listen. The only good thing about it is that you don't happen to have to listen to the morons in the morning, Dorcas and Smurf. And then you have Papa embarrassing, and he's at his worst now. He just talks. First of all, if he could talk over Lund, Johnny Lund, as Smurf calls him, he certainly talks over Greg Silva, who can't shut up. And now they're completely out of the 755 Battery offices and studio. That used to be Cumulus's San Francisco. They call it a cluster. It's more like a sliver, if you get my drift. And it's a shame because this place housed KGO, which is now a ghost. And now it's KSFO on the 8:10 a.m. You have a simulcast of shitty KSFO and further crappy KSFO on 8:10 a.m. I don't know what they did with the call letters. I assume they kept them as some kind of a morsel, in which case, if and when they sell to some conglomerate that wants to buy debt, they have call letters, much like Family Radio still has KFRC call letters on 6:10 a.m., even though that's a family station. And those of you who've been asking me about what's happening at KGO, it's no longer KGO. Again, it's KSFO, and they just put it on a bigger signal, 50,000 watts KGO. It's folks, this is just nothing. It is a dilapidation turned into monstrosity. They're both interchangeable. It's the same thing. All they're doing is they're consolidating. They're consolidating so they don't have to. I mean, I referred to the old KGO, which ironically was a betting station. It was far more interesting than dopey KMBR, which is now dead. At least it was entertaining. This station is now basically KSFO with a bigger signal. Aren't you happy? You can listen to Red Eye Radio and, I guess, whatever, glorify yourself. It's sad. It really is sad. I've been getting questions. What about Lamont and Tonelli? Could they resurface? Yeah, they could, and they probably will. But where? I don't know. I really don't know. But they screwed that station up too. These guys are really good at fucking up radio stations. I'm laughing. It's kind of a sarcastic laugh, if you know what I mean. So radio in San Francisco is pretty horrible. Greg Papa should be embarrassed. He really should. He yaps. He talks in codes. He talks in football lingo, and he uses analogies that, frankly, make no sense. They're out of whack. He's talking about the 49ers on the air this morning, and he used a basketball analogy, and which he does frequently. He goes to the Warriors. Then all of a sudden he's talking about the 49ers, but he uses it in the same context. It makes no sense. And again, the inexplicable giggle. I call it the Papa laugh. It is odd. It is downright bizarre, weird. Use every adjective. And he treats this little mini Silver and just talks over him, doesn't give a damn. And at this stage of the game, Papa wants a couple of things. Well, three things. He wants to solidify his retirement. He wants to get whatever he can off the talk show job at dead KNBR. And first and foremost, he wants to just solidify himself doing the 49ers. That's mainly the reason why they kept him, because they understood the ramifications of a disillusioned Papa doing play-by-play. And they figured they might as well just keep him, they being Cumulus. Papa, his play-by-play duties with the 49ers, he gets paid by the 49ers. Lastly, and this is a big thing, talk about people asking me questions. Why couldn't, theoretically, the San Francisco Giants and or the 49ers buy a radio station, buy the frequency like 810 AM, like a KNBR? And they have the money. They could probably buy it. I don't want to say dirt cheap, but I'll say cheap. Nickels on the dollar. They could program it to their liking. They could do, talk about the 49ers talk show hosts. They could get, they'd have to hire some engineers. They'd have to hire some ancillary people, which they would. Then they wouldn't have to worry about the situation that befits KNBR, that befits, whatever station. And this is not unprecedented. There's a station down in LA, the Angels own KRLA, I believe it is. So, what does it cost to get a good linebacker? What? They usually sign him for what? 10 million, 20 million? 49ers could buy the radio station, have their own content, their own programming 24/7. Of course, they could take some syndicated shows, center it around the NFL. Why? And again, the cost would not be that humongous. Same thing with the Giants, who, by the way, I hear it's the last year of the contract at KNBR. And the Giants, they may not have much leverage, but it may not matter. They want out at KNBR. It's the last year of the contract. There's a whole lot of transition situations taking place, potential bombshells, but in this day and age, it's not that big of a deal. We'll talk about that more at a later date. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense as far as these teams buying a radio frequency. They can also integrate it with their own streaming device, put it on their website, which they basically do now anyway. But we'll wait on that. But Papa and Silver, oh my God, embarrassing. Copy Copes and whomever, embarrassing. And the morning show with Dorcas and Smurf. Well, my position on that. It's an abomination, and it gets worse by the day. I'm going to be talking about more television news and lots of cable issues. You saw the item that NBC is now ridding itself of some of its ancillary networks like MSNBC, which is in ratings free fall, and they didn't do very well even during the election coverage. CNBC, all those channels are being basically thrown off the over-the-air NBC. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the local situation. And we're getting close to the holiday season with Thanksgiving, about 8 days away. So please, if you can, folks, make a donation to my site. Hit the PayPal icon. And whatever you can donate is more than welcome. It keeps me going, which keeps you going, which is the main reason why you come here and not read bullshit like the Chronicle and Barrett Media, which is a press release shithole. Anyway, And we're getting close to Christmas and all that. So I hope your day is getting to by to be nice, even though it's about to pour. Oh, we're going to have atmospheric rivers. So that'll be the main topic of conversation and coverage in our local Barron media. All right. Talk to you soon. Oh, and become a member of my YouTube channel. Thank you.